But this is like the biggest generational divide on policy that I think we've seen. I don't think we've seen a bigger, and I got to, I should probably get into the polling numbers to check it out, but it seems to me like this really is just the leftover Zionism
Hmm.
from the greatest generation passed down to the boomers of like we got to protect Israel. Israel is like the reparations for World War II, I feel like. The
Right.
state of Israel is like what they get for the suffering of World War II.
Yeah, and look at how they've just tarnished their project. You know, like this is like the League of was I don't know if it was the League of Nations. The Allied powers came together. The United Nations said like, here, here's your own country, and they're just squandering it by basically doing the same thing that the Nazis did to them,
Yeah.
only to their Arab neighbors. It's like you're dehumanizing the Lebanese, the Syrians, the Palestinians, and for what? It's like again going back to like to the normie thing, like trying to convince them like they're engaged. This is an ethno state. They're very
Right.
very racist, and their country is indoctrinated
It's a
from a young age.
theocracy.
Yeah, their country is indoctrinated to be this way and treat their neighbors this way, but like criticizing the actual state and the government and like the system itself, that's anti-Semitic. By that logic, criticizing Iran should be Islamophobic, or Saudi Arabia, because they're theocracies as well. Like they're very much
Yeah.
like that. That clearly drives their policies. Like Zionism drives Israeli policies,
Yeah.
and not.
Well, that's what's scary about. I mean, so Zionism is basically just their version of American exceptionalism,
Yeah, exactly.
and it invokes narcissistic superiority,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
that's what
Perpetual
justifies them.
victimhood. Yeah.
That's what justifies their aggression towards others. Is well, we got hurt. It's almost like an abusive relationship. There's that cliche of those who are hurt others, and
Yes.
it just seems like, and there's actually a lot of evidence. I don't know. I should brush up on this, but at one point I knew a lot about it. There's abuse is passed down in families in their DNA, like trauma, intergenerational trauma. That's a better way of defining it because it's specific, but intergenerational trauma, dad beating the kids or whatever, problems in the marriage being blamed on the kids, but anything involving like trauma on the kids, like that gets passed down and dialed into their DNA and passed down to their kids. So it takes a lot of talk
Yeah.
therapy. In many cases, it takes medication. I'm always a advocate for meditation. I think everybody should meditate. But the way I look at the Israeli government now, is that they were an abused child, and now they're an adult and think that they have the right to abuse others because they were abused.
Yeah. It's literally like generational. Take it out on the next. Take it out on who you were brought up to believe is your enemy. Take
Right.
that's literally what it comes down to. Hey Courtney, thanks for joining. Intergenerational trauma can most definitely be a whole country thing. Yeah, yeah, no kidding.
Can be a whole what?
A whole country thing.
Yeah.
You can even look at America that way too. Like the boomers wanted to live up to like the greatest generation. And it's about like just like pleasing. Like boomers wanted to please their parents, and just like Gen X wanted to please like their boomer parents, and so on and so on, but didn't know how to fulfill, or at the very least, live up to their legacy. Like, because ultimately, not everybody is handed the tools to, you know, or the like the educational the education like passed down from past generations to even like manage that, let alone accomplish what generations before them did. And they feel like they have to, if not create something that's just like grand and like historical, like something really really important, or something to do with uh, um, like business or what have you, some sort of metric of success, just to uh, live up to a standard set like by their parents. You know, it's
Hmm.
it's
Right.
unrealistic. Realistic. So it's
I think
what
what
comes
you're
to, it's a
talking
rat
about.
race. Like you're chasing
Let
a
me put it into flowery terms for you that I think would resonate with cultural touch points.
yeah.
So just like the American dream, the unspoken implicit agreement between generations for the American dream to be possible is that your generation is supposed to set things up so that your kids can have a better life. I
Yes.
mean, that's the unspoken agreement of parenting. It's kind of, and in many houses, it's the spoken agreement of parenting. We're working hard for you. It's actually, it's if you ever get to know families of immigration, it's kind of this beautiful. I don't want to say dark, but it's just reality. They're not immigrating to America for themselves. They're immigrating to America for their kids.
Yeah. Literally. Yeah.
They're moving here for their kids. Their lives suck and will always suck. They are going to have to come here and get a job waiting tables, or probably not even that, probably bar backing or cleaning dishes or cleaning something. And they're never going to have time or enough money to go get a real education. So they're going to be stuck doing that same job, making the same amount of money their whole life. But what they can do is maybe give their kids a chance at
Yes.
something better.
Of course.
Maybe their kids can go to college and have an education and so forth
Yeah.
and actually attain the American dream. But the boomers
Yeah.
never thought like that.
They
The
didn't.
boomers never made that transition because they didn't go through a world war. They went through Vietnam and they were like, well, we shouldn't have done that war. So,
Right.
we still fought a war, though. We fought a war we shouldn't have had to fight.
Yeah.
So we still got screwed up. But it's like, dude, do you know what the casualty numbers were for Vietnam? It's
Uh,
like 55,000.
that's on the American side.
Yeah.
Like it's just true. Yeah. Yeah.
A lot
No.
of injuries, a lot of trauma, a lot
Right.
of trauma, but yeah, only 55,000 dead.
Yeah, it's crazy. The immigration example is like a really, really good one because like immigrants crossing the border will literally pass off their children to complete
Yeah.
strangers as long as they know that they're going to get across the
Right.
border. Like, because ultimately, like they're not like they don't consider themselves as important. Like, I can't even imagine a boomer having that kind of sacrificial mindset, like at all when it comes to anything, like at all. So like, of course, that would be like completely foreign to them because like if they truly wanted to make the world a better place for their children, so that way their children have much better lives, then they would not be complaining about student debt being forgiven
I know.
or these
Yeah.
protests that are going on. It's like, should this younger generation just passively accept what they're being handed?
Yeah, they say be
Just
grateful. Be grateful
yeah.
for what you're getting. That's what the boomer message is. Be
No,
grateful you're
no.
getting anything.
Yeah, yeah. They can't they cannot seem to just fathom the fact that young people want to fight for a better world, not only for
Yeah.
themselves but for the most vulnerable.
Right.
It's because they never had to do that because like they were basically given everything, and
Yep.
it was all like baby boomers are all about themselves, you
Yep.
know.
A
Yeah,
generation of narcissistic sociopaths.
literally. Yes.
Narcissistic sociopaths. History's going to destroy them.
Yeah, no kidding.
Destroy them. It
Mm.
was tough this summer, man. I was back on the East Coast. I was doing the country club thing with my dad. Being around all those elite East Coast country club conservative wasps, it was real, and not just the
Yeah.
wasp, but the mix too. Like it was tough, man, to just have to keep my mouth shut and be polite because we're at this like super fancy club, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, I hate these people. I hate everything you stand for. But it's
Yeah.
interesting. What they
Yeah.
don't look at it, something, there's the hardest person to empathize with is a straight rich white man, right? So they don't look at politics as like something all that consequential.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the 1%ers, really the 0.1%er conservatives now. They look at it as like a cocktail party conversation.
Yeah.
Because no matter who's in charge, they're going to do pretty well. They might do a little bit better with a Republican or a lot better. But every president seems to pass a tax cut. Even Obama passed a tax cut.
Yeah.
The rich did really well under Obama. I
Yeah.
mean, like there's no reason for them to really be all that worried,
Yeah.
no matter who's president. The
Exactly.
rich
They're
are
always
incredibly well protected. Incredibly well
exactly.
protected.
They're always going to have everything they need because they like equally wealthy people are representing them in government, in Congress, and in the Senate, and all that. It's like, of course they're going to protect you because they're sitting on a bunch of money as well, and so these older generations that like have like a lot of wealth, um, it, it it's like they have no reason to worry about who's going to be president next. Like it doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. They're both working for moneyed interests as well. Like that's ultimately what it comes down to. But how dare the Democrats do something or introduce something that might give a leg up to those making less than 40K, 50K
Right.
a year. Like it doesn't fucking affect you.
Right.
And even people like within those income ranges that are stupid enough to be fooled into voting for Republican, like shouldn't you be cheering that on? Like,
No.
I'll never understand like those that literally like cheer against like um uh, uh or vote against their own interests.
Yes,
Like,
and that's a tough part for a lot of baby boomer liberals to get to is that they are voting against the Republicans mostly are voting against their own socioeconomic interests. They
yep,
are.
yep,
In
yep.
terms of culture, they might not be. I don't know. It's difficult to assess that. I don't even think it really matters.
It varies, yeah.
The point is that there's no one who benefits from excessive tax cuts for corporations and billionaires other than those corporations and billionaires and their stockholders. And if
Yep.
you know, there's an interesting statistic about stock because it's easy to get caught in like the 99%, the 1%, the 0.1% based on income inequality, okay? Let me give you a statistic that really kind of, I think, can get everybody who doesn't even own stock to understand, okay? 10% of individuals and institutions that own publicly traded stocks, okay? 10% own 90% of publicly traded stocks. So, of all the money that's out there, add up all the money, okay? All the value, 90% of it belongs to 10% of investors.
Insane.
That's 9-to-1 ratio. For
that's
every
that's
dollar
really
that the common for every dollar that the common investor makes, well, sorry, go ahead. What were you
that's
gonna say?
insane. No, that's insane to think about because if that's the case, like so many different stocks, their value is determined by very few, if not just a single person
The
invested.
arithmetic doesn't work out. The arithmetic doesn't work out as simply as you might think.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
yeah, and there's
Because
also
I'm thinking,
governing situations like corporate structures more complicated than
yeah,
just that.
because I'm thinking like if like say like one or two people like hold like 80 to 90% of the value of a stock. Like if they aren't satisfied and they decide to
Right.
go, like then that stock just like goes
Yeah, they run the
free
company.
fall. Yeah, like that. And I'm sure that's the case for at least a few different like stocks out there, which is just fucking like, insane to think about. God, like I never knew that. That's a wild fucking fact that you just
Well,
learned
there
today.
is transparency once you're over. I think the rule is that once you get to 5% ownership of a publicly
Okay,
traded company, then you have to declare your intentions. You have to say where do you,
right.
how much of this company are you trying to buy? Are you trying to take it all the way over? And you can say, yeah, I'm trying to buy you. Here's your
Yeah,
offer.
because if you're a CEO of a company, can you basically like own your own stock, basically?
Yeah, you get paid in stock as well as
Okay.
just salary and bonuses. Yeah, the whole
Okay.
bonuses. You should do some digging sometimes if you ever want some rabbit hole about tax codes. Look into who's the guy? Oh, I can't believe I'm going to forget his name. Leo McGarry from West Wing was based on him. Secretary of Labor under Clinton. Short
Oh
Jewish
man,
guy from Boston. Democracy, something. I think it's Robert Reich.
Robert Reich.
Yeah, it's
Yep,
Robert Reich.
I
Yeah.
like him.
So Robert Reich is brilliant,
Yeah.
and Robert Reich is someone that needs to be listened to.
Yes.
Talk about it.
Big
Talk about
time.
a knowledgeable, nerdy Jew. My God, the
Yeah.
guy is
He's
so intelligent.
very progressive. He's like
Yeah,
he
but he does it
thinks
from an economic perspective.
big. Yep.
He does it from an economic perspective. It's not just, fight the power. Like burn down the house. Like, okay, what are you going to build it up with?
Right.
It's not good enough. I mean, one thing that is somewhat intellectually respectable at American politics is that it's not good enough to just say, I'm not the other guy.
Yeah. Of
It's
course.
not good enough to say, I'm not a Republican, vote for me. That's
Yeah.
not good enough.
Of course.
You have to offer something. And what do the Democrats offer? They offer Obamacare. Awesome. Oh, hell of a win. Generational win, my man.
Yeah.
Give me a break. And yeah, okay, it was positive. I said that to a friend recently. Her reaction was, "Well, at least we got something." I'm like, "We had
Yeah.
once in a generation political power. We had both houses of Congress and the presidency. We could
Yeah.
have gone
Got way farther.
big. We could have had a generational piece of legislation.
Yeah. No kidding. And it's
We
like
could have had more Supreme Court justices too if you had manned up.
yeah, no kidding. Like we could have who was it?
Roe v. Wade codified.
Yeah, that and before Obama left office, the guy who
Merrick Garland.
yeah, Merrick Garland, we could have had him. Yeah, yeah.